This can't be happening. Noah Sterling paced back and forth across the dark wood floor. His hands shook slightly as he ran them through his messy hair. Outside, a terrible storm raged. Heavy rain pounded against the thick glass windows of the 81st floor. The bright lights of the city blurred in the endless downpour. Noah pulled off his silk tie and threw it on a leather chair. He unbuttoned the top of his expensive shirt. The air conditioning was on high, but he was sweating. In exactly 15 minutes, he would lose everything. A rival tech company was about to finish a hostile takeover. They wanted to steal Sterling Innovations, the billion-dollar tech empire he had built from nothing. If the clock struck midnight, his life's work would be gone. He had only one hope left: Obsidian Ventures. They were the most ruthless investment firm in the world. They only cared about money. They had agreed to a last-minute midnight meeting. If their hidden boss liked Noah's pitch, they would buy his massive debt and save his company. If not, Noah was finished. He would be completely ruined. The heavy wooden doors clicked. They slowly swung open. Noah stopped breathing. He stood up straight. He forced his shoulders back and put on his best, most confident smile. He expected to see an old, tough businessman walk through those doors. A man in a boring gray suit who smoked cigars. He was wrong. So very wrong. The woman who walked into the room was stunning. She did not just walk, she owned the space. She wore a sharp, dark gray suit that fit her body perfectly. A bright red coat hung over her shoulders like a queen's cape. Her dark hair, which used to fall in soft waves, was pulled back tight and perfectly smooth. She wore bold red lipstick. But it was her eyes that made Noah freeze in place. They were bright blue, sharp, and totally cold. It was Chloe. Noah felt the floor drop away from under his feet. The room started to spin. Chloe was his wife. No, his ex-wife. The quiet, shy woman he had divorced 3 years ago. The woman he left because she did not fit into his fast, rich, dangerous world. But the woman standing in front of him was not boring. She looked like a boss. She looked terrifying. And she was looking at him like he was a complete stranger. Chloe, Noah whispered. His voice cracked. He forgot about his dying company. He forgot about the billions of dollars. He took a heavy step toward her. Chloe, what are you doing here? Chloe stopped at the head of the long table. She did not look angry. She did not look hurt. She just looked a little confused. She tilted her head and looked him up and down. I am here to decide if your company is worth saving, Mr. Sterling, she said. Her voice was smooth and firm. It was totally professional. There was zero emotion in it at all. Stop it, Noah said. Hot anger rushed through his chest. Is this a joke? Is this your payback? You bought your way in here just to watch me beg. Chloe frowned. A small wrinkle appeared between her perfect eyebrows. She looked at the man standing right behind her. He was her assistant, wearing a neat black suit and holding a thick folder. Do I know this man, David? She asked him. Noah felt a painful punch to his gut. She was not acting. Her eyes were completely blank. The assistant stepped right in front of Noah. Mr. Sterling, you need to step back right now, the man said in a hard, protective voice. Ms. Vance was in a terrible car crash exactly 36 months ago. Noah stopped moving. His blood turned to ice. 36 months ago. That was exactly 3 years. The exact night he gave her the divorce papers. The night he broke her heart, and she left his house crying in the pouring rain. She suffered a major brain injury, the assistant continued. She has amnesia. Her brain kept her business skills and her education. But she lost her personal memories. She does not know who you are. She does not remember being married to you. The words hit Noah like a speeding truck. The guilt crushed him. He did this to her. He sent her out into the storm, and she almost died. Now all memories of him were totally wiped from her mind. He was a ghost. Mr. Sterling, Chloe called out. She sat down gracefully in the big leather chair. She opened her folder. I do not have time for games. Time is money. Are you going to tell me about your software, or are you going to keep staring at me? Noah swallowed hard. His throat felt like sandpaper. He had to pitch his life's work to the woman he had broken. He walked slowly to the front of the room. He picked up the remote. The large screen lit up. He started talking about profit, code, and the future of technology. But he could not focus on the screen. He could only focus on her. As he spoke, Chloe watched him like a hawk. She stopped him in the middle of his sentences. She asked brilliant, tough questions. She pointed at his charts and found weak spots in his plan that his smartest workers had missed. She was amazing. She was fearless. When did she get this smart? Noah asked himself. Then he realized the terrible truth. She was always this smart. He just never paid attention. He had kept her hidden away in their big, empty house. He had treated her like a child. Seeing her now, powerful, confident, and sharp, made his blood run hot. He felt a massive, powerful attraction to her. It was stronger than anything he felt when they were married. He wanted this strong version of her. And across the table, Chloe was fighting a silent war inside her own mind. She kept her face totally blank. She stared at the papers, but her body was betraying her. Every time Noah spoke, his deep, rough voice sent a warm shiver straight down her spine. When his dark, intense eyes locked onto hers, it felt like a physical touch. Her chest felt tight. Her skin felt hot. What is wrong with me? She thought. She reached for her glass of water, hoping he would not see her hand trembling. She had met hundreds of rich, handsome men. None of them made her feel like this. This man was just a desperate CEO asking for a bailout. But her heart was beating so fast it actually hurt. She wanted to reach across the table and touch his face. She felt a crazy, burning pull toward him. It felt like her soul recognized him, even if her brain did not. She quickly crossed her legs under the table. She forced herself to look away from his broad shoulders and focus on the math. Focus, Chloe, she ordered herself. Noah finally clicked to the last slide. The screen went dark. He stood there, breathing heavy, waiting for his final judgment. The pitch was over. The room went silent again. Only the sound of the rain filled the space. Chloe slowly closed her folder. She folded her hands neatly on the table. She looked right at him. "I like the company, Mr. Sterling," Chloe said quietly. "Your software is very good. The numbers make sense. I believe I can save this business." Noah let out a massive breath of relief. He smiled for the first time that night. "So we have a deal." Chloe leaned forward. The room light caught the icy blue in her eyes. "I do not invest in products, Noah," she said. It was the first time she used his first name. Hearing her say it made his heart skip a beat. "I invest in people," she continued. "And sitting across from you, something feels wrong." Noah's smile dropped instantly. "What do you mean?" "My gut is telling me there is more to your story," she said. Her voice was cold again. "I like your company, but I don't know if I trust you. Something about you feels dangerous to me." "I have nothing to hide," Noah lied. His heart pounded against his ribs. "We will see about that," Chloe said softly. She raised her hand. "Before I give you $2 billion, my firm needs to know everything about you. My lead analyst will be joining us right now. He will look into your bank accounts, your past, and your secrets. He will audit your entire life." The heavy boardroom doors swung open a second time. A man walked in. He was tall, with very broad shoulders. He wore an expensive black suit. He walked with total confidence, moving like a wild animal. He was incredibly handsome, but he looked very dangerous. Noah felt a sudden, sharp spike of anger and fear. The man walked straight to Chloe. He did not sit down. Instead, he stood right behind her chair. He put a hand on her shoulder. It was a very close, very protective touch. Chloe did not pull away. She leaned into his touch. She looked comfortable with him. "Noah," Chloe said. "Meet Leo." Leo finally looked at Noah. Noah froze completely. There was no amnesia in Leo's eyes. Leo knew exactly who Noah was. Leo's eyes were full of pure, burning hatred. It was the look of a man who wanted to destroy him. Leo smiled. It was a dark, scary smile that promised pure pain. "Hello, Mr. Sterling," Leo said softly. His deep voice cut through the quiet room. "I have waited 3 long years for this exact moment." The morning sun brought no warmth to Noah's office. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut with a knife. Leo stood much too close. He backed Noah against the cold glass wall. The handsome analyst did not yell. He did not have to. His quiet voice was far more terrifying. "I know everything," Leo whispered. His dark eyes locked onto Noah's. "I know how you treated her. I know you broke her. Ms. Vance might not remember the hell you put her through, but I do. I am going to dig through every single paper in this building. The second I find a mistake, I am pulling the money. I will watch you lose everything, Sterling." Noah clenched his fists. He wanted to punch the smug look off Leo's face. But he could not. His company was dying. He needed Chloe's money. He forced himself to take a deep breath and step away. "Do your worst," Noah said, keeping his voice steady. By noon, the audit was fully underway in the main conference room. The table was covered in financial reports and legal files. Chloe sat at the center of the table. She wore a stunning white suit. She looked like an angel, but she worked like a machine. She ripped through Noah's business plans without any mercy. Despite the stress, Noah could not take his eyes off her. Every time she flipped a page, he watched the movement of her hands. Every time she spoke, the soft sound of her voice sent a warm ache through his chest. He was drowning in regret. He had pushed away the most incredible woman in the world, and Chloe was fighting her own silent battle. She kept her eyes on the papers, but her skin felt too hot. Whenever Noah leaned over the table, she caught the faint scent of his cologne, cedar and black pepper. It made her heart race. It felt dangerously familiar. She found herself staring at his lips when he talked. She wanted to reach out and touch his jaw. She quickly gripped her pen tighter, trying to push the crazy feelings away. She was a professional. She did not fall for desperate CEOs. "Your spending in the fourth quarter is a disaster, Mr. Sterling," Chloe said sharply, forcing herself to focus. "You poured $50 million into a failed software update." "Why?" Noah felt his pride flare up. He stood up straight. "Because it was a necessary risk. You have to push boundaries to stay on top." He decided to use the famous words that made him a billionaire. He quoted the best-selling business memoir he had published 2 years ago. "Like I always say," Noah began confidently, "a true visionary does not wait for the market to shift. He builds the foundation in the dark, so..." Chloe did not even look up from her file. She kept writing. "So when the sun rises, he already owns the ground they walk on," she said smoothly, finishing his exact sentence. Noah froze. All the air left his lungs. Chloe finally looked up. She frowned, looking a little confused by her own words. "It is a bold quote, Mr. Sterling. I suppose I must have read your book at some point. But the logic is completely flawed. You built a foundation on sand. You spent money you did not have." But Noah was not listening to her business advice anymore. The room started to spin. A sudden, violently clear memory hit him. It was raining. He was in his old home office. He had fallen asleep on the leather couch, exhausted and stressed about his upcoming book. The book was supposed to save his failing image. But he had terrible writer's block. He could not write a single good page. He woke up in the middle of the night. The room was dark, except for the blue glow of his computer screen. Chloe was sitting at his desk. She was wearing his oversized sweater. Her fingers were flying across the keyboard. She was typing incredibly fast. He had watched her from the couch, too tired to speak. She was rewriting his entire manuscript. The memory hit him like a physical blow. The crushing truth finally broke through his ego. He did not write that brilliant quote. He did not write the best chapters of his famous book. Chloe did. She was the hidden genius behind his success. She had quietly built the foundation of his empire while he took all the credit. He was just the handsome face on the cover. She was the mastermind. Noah stared at the powerful woman sitting across from him. He felt a wave of deep, agonizing guilt. But mixed with the guilt was a powerful, overwhelming love. He was falling for her all over again, but this time, he finally saw her clearly. The meeting ended soon after. Noah could barely speak. He just nodded as Leo packed up the files. By 8 o'clock that night, the rain had stopped. The city was dark and quiet. Noah sat in his sports car, staring at the massive iron gates of Chloe's private estate. The guard had let him in after checking his ID. He held the final box of audit files in his hands. He could have sent a driver. But he needed to see her. He needed to apologize, even if she did not remember what he was apologizing for. He walked up the stone steps and rang the doorbell. A maid opened the heavy wooden door. "Mr. Sterling? Ms. Vance is finishing a phone call in her study. Please wait in the foyer." Noah stepped inside. The house was beautiful, filled with expensive art and warm light. He stood near the grand staircase, his heart pounding against his ribs. He rehearsed what he was going to say. "Chloe, I am sorry. I was blind." Suddenly, he heard a sound that made his blood run cold. It was a soft, joyful giggle. Noah turned his head. The sound of fast, tiny footsteps echoed on the hardwood floor. "No, no, catch me," a little voice yelled happily. A toddler came running around the corner from the hallway. He was moving too fast on his little legs. He ran straight toward Noah and crashed right into his knees. The little boy fell back onto the soft rug with a soft thump. The box of files slipped from Noah's hands and crashed to the floor. Papers flew everywhere. "Oh, I'm sorry," the little boy squeaked. Noah could not breathe. He looked down. The boy looked to be about 2 years old. He had soft, messy dark hair. The toddler looked up at Noah, rubbing his little nose. Noah felt the entire world stop spinning. The boy had dark, intense eyes. They were not Chloe's bright blue eyes. They were Noah's exact same eyes, looking right back at him. Noah stared at the little boy on the floor. The dark eyes looking back at him were an exact mirror of his own. His breath caught in his throat. He could not speak. Suddenly, the rapid clicking of high heels echoed down the hallway. "Leo!" Chloe's voice was full of panic. She rushed into the grand foyer. She dropped to her knees right next to Noah and scooped the toddler into her arms. She held the boy tight against her chest and kissed his messy dark hair. Noah stood up slowly. His hands were shaking. His heart pounded against his ribs. "Chloe!" Chloe looked up at him. Her icy blue eyes were perfectly calm and guarded again. She stood up smoothly, holding the boy on her hip. "Mr. Sterling, I apologize. My son is very fast. He gets away from his nanny sometimes." Noah felt like he had been stabbed in the chest. "Your son?" "Yes," Chloe said. Her voice was polite and totally professional. She rubbed the little boy's back. "This is Leo Jr." Noah stopped breathing. Leo Jr. The name echoed loudly in his empty head. It all made horrible sense now. She had built a perfect, happy life. She had a beautiful child with the man who hated him. The man who wanted to destroy his company. Noah's heart completely shattered into a million pieces. He bent down, picked up his messy audit files from the floor, and handed them to her maid. He apologized softly, turned around, and walked out into the cold night. The next morning, everything changed for Noah. He walked into the glass lobby of Sterling Innovations with a completely new mindset. He did not care about the hostile takeover anymore. He did not care about losing his billions of dollars. He only cared about the woman sitting in his conference room. He wanted to prove he was a better man, even if he could never have her back. He started paying attention. He brought Chloe her favorite coffee, black with one single sugar packet, exactly how she used to drink it. He did not say how he knew. When little Leo Jr. visited the office with his nanny at lunchtime, Noah stopped working. He dropped a highly important $1 million phone call just to sit on the floor and show the boy how to fold a paper airplane. Chloe watched him from the doorway. Her cold, bossy mask slipped for just 1 second. She looked genuinely shocked to see the ruthless billionaire playing on the carpet. Later that afternoon, things got dangerous. A massive mob of angry reporters crowded the front doors of the building. They were shouting about Noah's failing company and the hostile takeover. Flashbulbs blinded everyone. The crowd pushed forward aggressively. A heavy camera swung out and almost hit Chloe in the face. Noah did not hesitate. He moved like lightning. He wrapped his strong arms around her waist. He pulled her flush against his chest, hiding her face in his shoulder. He shielded her body completely with his own. "Back up!" Noah roared at the cameras. His deep voice shook the glass walls. He guided her safely through the angry mob and into her waiting black car. He made sure no one touched a single hair on her head. When he finally let her go, they locked eyes. For a split second, the air between them burned with intense, undeniable heat. Chloe's chest heaved and she quickly looked away, pulling her car door shut. The scene shifted. The camera cut to Chloe's private, dimly lit office across town. The heavy door clicked shut. Leo stood by the wide window. He poured 2 glasses of cold water. Chloe sat heavily in her large leather chair. She kicked off her expensive high heels. She let out a long, tired breath. The cold, robotic boss was totally gone. She just looked exhausted and deeply emotional. She rubbed her temples with shaking fingers. Leo walked over and handed her a glass. He did not look angry or hateful anymore. He looked down at her like a caring older brother. "He is actually trying," Leo said softly. "He shielded you from the press today. He took the hits for you. And he was incredibly sweet to the boy." Leo sighed and crossed his arms over his chest. "Are you going to tell him the truth, Chloe? Are you going to tell him you remember everything?" Chloe looked down at her hands. She was not sick. She did not have amnesia. She remembered every single second of their marriage. She remembered the lonely nights, the tears, and the pain. But she also remembered his smile, his touch, and the deep love she used to feel. "Not yet," Chloe whispered. A single tear escaped and rolled down her cheek. "I need to know, Leo. I need to know if he has really changed. Did he finally outgrow his massive ego? Or is he just acting like a good man because he wants my money to save his precious company? I have to be absolutely sure before I risk my heart again." Back in the boardroom at Sterling Innovations, the sun was setting. The large room was cast in dark, moody shadows. Noah stood by the window, watching the city lights turn on. He felt sick to his stomach. He could not keep up this fake, professional act anymore. Being so close to her, but treating her like a stranger, was tearing him apart. The heavy doors opened. Chloe walked in, holding a pen and a new stack of audit files. "Mr. Sterling, we need to discuss your overseas bank accounts before the deadline tonight." Noah turned around. He looked at her beautiful, serious face. He did not walk to his chair. He walked straight past her to the heavy wooden doors. He grabbed the brass handles and pulled them shut with a loud bang. Then he reached up and turned the heavy metal lock. Click! Chloe stopped walking. Her icy blue eyes went wide. She looked at the locked door, then back at him. "Noah, what are you doing? Open that door." Noah shook his head. He walked slowly toward her. His dark eyes were full of pure, desperate emotion. The space between them felt electric and heavy. "No more audits," Noah said. His voice was rough and shaking. "No more business." He stopped right in front of her. He was so close she could feel the heat radiating off his chest. Chloe's breath caught in her throat. She tried to step back, but her legs refused to move. Her heart hammered against her ribs. "I know you do not remember me, Chloe," Noah whispered. He stared deeply into her eyes, stripping away all of his pride. "But I was your husband, and I was the biggest fool in the entire world." The click of the heavy brass lock echoed loudly in the quiet boardroom. Chloe took a quick step back. Her icy blue eyes went wide. "What are you talking about?" she asked. She forced her voice to sound confused and slightly angry. She had to keep her amnesia mask on. But her hands were shaking wildly. She quickly hid them behind her back, so he would not see. Noah stepped closer. He looked completely broken. The proud, arrogant billionaire was gone. "I know you do not remember me," Noah said softly. His deep voice cracked with raw emotion. "But I have to tell you the truth. I cannot stand here and lie to you anymore. I cannot take your money if it means keeping this a secret." He looked down at the dark wood floor, then slowly looked back up into her eyes. "I was a terrible husband, Chloe," Noah confessed. "I was blind, selfish, and foolish. You gave me absolutely everything, and I took it all for granted." Chloe's breath hitched. She bit the inside of her cheek so hard she tasted blood. She had to stop herself from crying. She had waited 3 long years to hear these exact words. "That book," Noah continued. A single tear escaped his eye and rolled down his cheek. "The famous business book that made me rich. I didn't write the best parts. You did. You stayed up late in the dark. You fixed my mistakes. You built the foundation of my empire while I slept. I was just the handsome face on the cover. You were the true genius." He reached out his hand. His fingers stopped just an inch away from her arm. He wanted to touch her so badly, but he didn't dare cross the line. "I don't care about my company anymore," he whispered. "I don't want the $2 billion. Let the rival company take it all. I only wanted to see you again. To tell you that I am so sorry." Chloe stared at him. Her heart hammered against her ribs. He meant it. Every single word was totally real. He was ready to throw away his life's work just to clear his conscience with her. The anger that had lived in her chest for 3 years began to melt away. She realized his change was genuine. She opened her mouth. She was ready to drop the act. She was ready to tell him she remembered everything. But outside the glass walls of the boardroom, a man stood hidden in the dark hallway. It was Marcus, Noah's chief financial officer. Marcus wore a cheap gray suit and wiped a nervous sweat from his forehead. He watched Noah and Chloe standing close together. Marcus clenched his jaw tight. He was the one secretly stealing millions of dollars from Sterling Innovations. He was the slimy executive who had secretly set up the hostile takeover behind Noah's back. He wanted to destroy Noah and take the remaining cash for himself. But watching them through the glass, Marcus panicked. If this powerful woman gave Noah the money, Marcus was completely finished. His massive theft would be discovered during the final audit tomorrow. He would go to federal prison. He could not let them partner up. He had to stop Chloe Vance permanently. It was past midnight. The massive office building was totally dark. Chloe walked alone into the underground parking garage. Her high heels clicked loudly on the cold concrete floor. The garage was damp, freezing, and completely empty. The yellow ceiling lights flickered. Her black sports car was parked at the very back of the lot. Suddenly, a heavy footstep echoed right behind her. Chloe stopped walking. The hair on the back of her neck stood up. She quickly turned around. Marcus stepped out from behind a thick concrete pillar. He looked pale, sweaty, and totally desperate. He blocked her path to the exit. "Mr. Davis?" Chloe asked. She used her cold, professional boss voice. "What are you doing down here in the dark?" Marcus smiled. It was a sick, ugly, dangerous smile. "You are much too smart for your own good, Miss Vance," he said. He took a slow step toward her. "Or should I say, Mrs. Sterling? You see, I know who you really are." Chloe kept her face blank, but her stomach twisted with sudden fear. "I cannot let you sign that investment deal tomorrow," Marcus said. His voice dropped to a scary, hissing whisper. "If you do, my little secret comes out. And I am not going to jail for Noah Sterling." He took another fast step closer. Chloe backed up until her shoulders hit the cold metal side of her car. She was trapped. "You were always a massive problem, Chloe," Marcus said, pulling a dark metal tool from his pocket. "Even 3 years ago. You were asking too many questions about the company bank accounts right before you left him. I had to get rid of you." Chloe's eyes went wide. A terrible, violent memory flashed in her mind. Her car spinning out of control in the pouring rain. Pumping the brake pedal, but nothing happening. The terrifying crash into the trees. "That's right," Marcus smiled, seeing the sudden pure terror in her eyes. "You survived the cut brakes 3 years ago, Chloe. Don't make me finish the job tonight." Chloe opened her mouth to scream for help. "Touch her, and I will break every bone in your body." The deep, deadly voice echoed loudly through the dark garage. Marcus froze in pure terror. He dropped the metal tool. Chloe gasped and looked past him. Noah stepped out from the deep shadows of the garage. He took off his suit jacket and let it drop to the dirty floor. His fists were tightly clenched at his sides. His dark eyes were burning with absolute, uncontrollable rage. He had heard every single word. The dark, freezing parking garage suddenly felt as hot as a furnace. "You did what to her car?" Noah's roar shook the concrete walls. He did not think. He just moved. He lunged forward like a wild animal. In 1 second, he crossed the dark space. Marcus gasped and dropped his heavy metal tool. The loud clang echoed on the floor. Noah grabbed the front of Marcus's cheap gray suit. He lifted the CFO entirely off his feet. With brutal force, Noah slammed Marcus backward into the thick concrete pillar. "Ah!" Marcus cried out in pain. All the air left his lungs. Noah did not let go. His strong hands twisted the fabric of the suit. His dark eyes were wide and crazy with absolute protective rage. The veins in his neck popped out. "Tell me," Noah yelled directly into Marcus's terrified face. "Tell me exactly what you did to my wife." Chloe stood frozen against her car. Her heart pounded violently against her ribs. She had never seen Noah like this. He was a wealthy CEO who worked in boardrooms. But right now, he looked like a man ready to kill with his bare hands. "I had to," Marcus begged. He was crying now. Sweat poured down his pale face. "She was too smart, Noah. 3 years ago, she started looking at the company financial statements. She was doing the math. She was going to find my secret accounts. She was going to find the missing millions." Noah's grip tightened. He shoved Marcus harder against the wall. "So you tried to murder her? You made it easy." Marcus screamed back, tears streaming down his face. "You never paid any attention to her. You left her totally alone in that big house. She had no friends. She had no one to talk to. You were always working. I knew if I cut the brake lines on her car, everyone would just think it was a tragic accident in the rain. And you wouldn't even care." The words hit Noah harder than a physical punch. His hands slowly stopped shaking. The blinding red anger in his mind suddenly turned to pure, freezing horror. Noah let go of Marcus. The slimy CFO slid down the concrete wall and fell to the floor, gasping for air. Noah stumbled backward. He looked at his own hands. He felt sick to his stomach. It was true. All of it was completely true. His terrible emotional neglect had broken Chloe's heart. But it was so much worse than that. By ignoring her, he had left her totally isolated. He had left her vulnerable to a monster. His own employee tried to murder her, and Noah had been too busy looking at his computer screen to notice she was in danger. He slowly turned to look at Chloe. She was staring back at him. Her icy blue eyes were wide and full of unshed tears. She remembered the crash. She remembered the terror of the car spinning off the wet road. Noah took 1 step toward her. He wanted to pull her into his arms. He wanted to hold her and never let her go. But he stopped. He looked at her beautiful face and felt completely unworthy. He was poison. He had brought nothing but pain and danger into her life. Noah pulled his phone from his pocket. His hands were shaking badly. He dialed the head of building security and the police. "Send everyone to the lower garage," Noah said, his voice completely dead. "We have a confession." Red and blue police lights flashed brightly in the dark night. The loud sirens faded away as the police cars drove Marcus to jail. Noah stood by the garage exit. He watched Chloe talk to a female police officer. She was safe. The nightmare was finally over. Chloe wrapped her red coat tighter around her shoulders. She looked over at Noah. She took a step toward him. She wanted to speak. She wanted to tell him the truth about her memory. But Noah held up his hand. He stopped her from coming closer. "Don't," Noah whispered. The pain in his voice was raw and bleeding. "Please, Chloe. Just stay away from me." He turned around and walked out into the cold city rain. He left his expensive suit jacket on the dirty garage floor. The next morning, the sun shone brightly through the tall windows of Obsidian Ventures. Chloe sat at her large desk. Her mind was a total mess. She had not slept at all. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Noah lunging to protect her. She saw the crushing guilt in his dark eyes. He really loved her. He was willing to kill for her. A quiet knock on the door pulled her from her thoughts. Her assistant, David, walked in. He carried a thick, heavy legal folder. "A private courier just dropped this off, Ms. Vance," David said. "It is from Noah Sterling." Chloe sat up straight. Her heart did a quick flip. "The final investment deal?" "I don't think so," David said softly. He placed the folder on her desk and quietly left the room. Chloe reached out and opened the thick leather folder. The first paper was not an investment contract. It was a formal letter of resignation. It was signed by Noah Sterling. He was stepping down as the CEO of Sterling Innovations immediately. Chloe frowned. Her hand started to tremble. She quickly flipped to the next page. It was a massive transfer of ownership. Noah was not asking for a $2 billion loan anymore. He was giving it all away. He had legally signed 100% of his $1 billion AR tech empire directly over to her venture capital firm. He gave her everything he had ever built. For free. At the very bottom of the folder was a small, white piece of paper. It was a handwritten note. Chloe picked it up. Noah's handwriting was messy, like he had written it very fast. "Chloe, I cannot protect you if I am the reason you are in danger. I was a fool to think I could just say sorry and make everything okay. My ignorance almost cost you your life. The company is yours now. You built the foundation anyway. It always belonged to you. Do whatever you want with it. I am walking away. I will never bother you or your son again. Be safe." "Noah!" A hot tear fell from Chloe's eye and hit the paper. She gasped. She suddenly understood what he had done. He did not just walk away from his money. He had sacrificed his entire identity. He threw away his whole world just to make sure she was safe and powerful. He punished himself because he felt he did not deserve her. "No," Chloe whispered. "No, Noah, you idiot." She dropped the papers. She grabbed her cell phone from the desk. Her fingers flew across the screen as she dialed his private number. She pressed the phone hard against her ear. Her heart beat wildly in her chest. "Pick up. Please pick up." The phone rang once. It rang twice. Then a cold, automated voice filled her ear. "The number you have reached is currently unavailable. Please leave a message after the tone. Beep." Chloe slowly lowered the phone. She looked at the $1 billion contract on her desk. She was the most powerful woman in the city now. But for the first time in 3 years, she felt completely, utterly alone. The massive penthouse was dark and empty. Through the giant glass windows, the bright city lights of the city glowed against the night sky. But Noah did not look outside. He stood in the middle of his cold, silent bedroom. He threw a few dark shirts into a small black suitcase. He did not pack any of his expensive suits. He did not pack his expensive watches. He was leaving all of his money and his billionaire life behind. He had signed his entire company over to the woman he loved. Now he was going to disappear so she could finally be safe. He zipped the suitcase shut. The loud sound echoed in the quiet room. Suddenly, the private elevator doors chimed. The heavy metal doors slid open with a soft whoosh. Fast, angry footsteps marched across the hardwood floor. Noah turned around. His heart stopped dead in his chest. Chloe stormed into the living room. She was still wearing her sharp business suit, but her red coat was gone. Her dark hair was slightly messy from the wind. Her eyes were burning with a fierce, bright fire. She marched straight up to the glass coffee table. She raised her hand and slammed a thick leather folder down onto the glass. Smack! "You think you can just walk away from me twice, Noah Sterling?" she yelled. Her voice rang clearly through the empty penthouse. Noah froze. He stared at her, completely stunned. Noah Sterling. She used his full name. She did not call him Mr. Sterling. She did not look at him with blank, cold eyes. She looked at him with deep, angry, burning passion. "You remember," Noah whispered. His voice was rough. The room started to spin. "You remember everything." "Of course I remember, you absolute idiot," Chloe said. Tears filled her beautiful blue eyes, but she did not let them fall. She crossed her arms tightly over her chest. "I never had amnesia. I remember every single second of our marriage. I remember the pain. I remember the lonely nights. And I remember the crash." Noah took a shaky step forward. He felt dizzy. "But, why? Why did you pretend?" "Because I had to know." Chloe cried out. Her voice finally broke. "When I saw you in that boardroom, I had to know if you were still the same selfish, arrogant man who broke my heart. I had to know if you just wanted my money to save your precious company. I had to test you." Noah looked at the thick folder on the table. It was the contract. It was his entire billion-dollar empire, signed over to her. "You passed the test, Noah," Chloe whispered. Her voice grew soft and shaking. "You jumped in front of those cameras to protect me. You nearly killed a man for hurting me. And then you threw away your entire life's work just to keep me safe. You proved that you changed." Noah shook his head. "It doesn't matter, Chloe. I still hurt you. I left you alone. I put you in danger. I don't deserve you." He reached for his suitcase. "I need to go. You will be better off without me." "Stop," Chloe ordered. She stepped right in front of him, blocking his path. She looked up into his dark, sad eyes. The anger was totally gone from her face now. Only love and fear remained. "There is one more thing," Chloe said softly. Her hands were trembling. "I have one more secret. And it is the biggest one of all." Noah stopped moving. He could barely breathe. "What is it?" Chloe took a deep breath. A single tear finally escaped and rolled down her cheek. "My son," she whispered. "The little boy you met at my house." Noah closed his eyes. The memory of the little boy with his exact same eyes hit him like a physical blow. "Leo Jr.," he said, his voice full of pain. "I know. You built a family with Leo. I am happy for you." "No, Noah. Listen to me," Chloe said. She reached out and placed her warm hands on his chest. Noah gasped at her touch. It had been 3 years since he felt her skin against his. "His name is not Leo Jr., Chloe said. She looked deeply into his soul. "Leo is just my business partner. He is my best friend. He helped me hide when I was scared." Noah opened his eyes. He looked at her in pure confusion. "Then who?" "Think about the math, Noah," Chloe sobbed, a joyful, broken smile spreading across her face. "He is 2 years old. He was born exactly 7 months after I left this house in the rain." Noah's brain stopped working. He stared at her. The math clicked into place. The boy's dark hair. The boy's intense, dark eyes. "His real name is Noah," Chloe whispered. "He has your eyes because he is your son." The entire world crashed down around Noah. All the strength instantly left his body. His legs completely gave out. He collapsed. He fell hard onto his knees on the hardwood floor. He buried his face in his hands. A massive, broken sob ripped out of his throat. The emotional dam inside him totally shattered. He cried. He cried for the years he lost. He cried for the pain he caused. And he cried for the beautiful, impossible miracle she had just given him. He had a son. Chloe did not stand above him. She instantly dropped down to her knees right next to him. She wrapped her arms tightly around his broad shoulders. She pulled his head against her chest and held him, crying with him. Noah wrapped his strong arms around her waist. He held her like he was drowning, and she was his only lifeline. He buried his face in her neck, breathing in her sweet scent. "I am so sorry," Noah sobbed against her skin. "I am so sorry, Chloe. I love you. I never stopped loving you." "I know," she whispered, kissing his dark hair. "I love you too." Noah pulled back just enough to look at her beautiful face. He reached up and gently wiped the tears from her cheeks with his thumbs. "I will fix this," Noah swore. His voice was fierce and totally certain. "I don't care about the company. I don't care about the money. I will spend every single day of the rest of my life making this up to you. I will earn the right to be your partner. I will earn the right to be his father." Chloe smiled. It was the brightest, most beautiful smile he had ever seen. She leaned in and pressed her lips softly against his. The kiss was totally mutual. It was full of heat, forgiveness, and a promise for the future. Noah pulled her closer, knowing he was finally truly home. 1 year later. The morning sun was blindingly bright. Camera flashes popped like fireworks inside the massive, crowded press room. Noah and Chloe stood side by side behind a clear glass podium. The giant screen behind them displayed a massive new logo, Vance and Sterling Innovations. The power dynamic was completely equal. They were co-CEOs. Chloe wore a stunning, powerful white suit. Noah wore a sharp, tailored black suit. They answered the reporters' questions together. They moved like a perfect team. When she spoke, he watched her with total, unfiltered pride. When he spoke, she smiled, knowing she was the true genius behind his words. "Mr. Sterling, Ms. Vance," a reporter shouted from the front row. "What is the secret to this massive new merger? How did you turn two rival companies into the biggest tech empire in the world?" Noah leaned close to the microphone. He looked at the crowd, but his hand reached out and gently held Chloe's hand behind the podium. "The secret is simple," Noah said, his deep voice carrying through the room. "You have to know when to stop fighting for power and start building a foundation together." Chloe looked up at him. She squeezed his hand tightly. They shared a soft, deeply loving look that made the cameras flash even faster. The old, cold distance between them was completely gone. Suddenly, a happy squeal echoed from the side of the stage. "Daddy!" The crowd gasped and parted. A little boy with messy dark hair and a tiny suit came running out from behind the velvet curtain. He ran as fast as his little legs could carry him. Noah's face lit up with pure, absolute joy. He did not care about the cameras. He did not care about looking professional. He left the podium and dropped down onto one knee right in the middle of the stage. Little Noah threw himself into his father's open arms. Noah scooped the boy up, spinning him around in a joyful circle. The little boy laughed loudly, his dark eyes shining bright. Chloe walked over and wrapped her arm around Noah's waist. Noah kissed his son's cheek, then leaned over and kissed his wife. The cameras captured the perfect picture. They were no longer strangers. They were a family.